Hello everybody, welcome to the Comic Gamer Movie Show. My name is Deshaun and today I'm here to review Creed 3. Now, Creed 3 is a very interesting movie because for a couple years after Creed 2 came out, we weren't sure if there was going to be a Creed 3. And then when it got announced there was going to be a Creed 3, it had kind of gone through a weird shuffle of directors. For a while there, Sylvester Stallone was involved heavily and was going to come back. Then there's the rumors about, obviously, Ryan Coogler coming back, but Ryan Coogler technically only directed the first Creed, the best of the Creed movies. But you know, in the end, it ended up being Michael B. Jordan. So this movie is not only the third movie in the franchise. This movie is also the first movie without Rocky Balboa, the Rocky Balboa character in it, and it is the directorial debut of Michael B. Jordan. And I'm gonna go up top. As a first-time director, this is a damn good start. Now, it's not on the level of Jordan Peele or Krasinski, who did Quiet Place in God damn it, what was it? Shit, not Nope. Dang, man, how am I blanking on it? How am I blanking on Get Out? Quiet Place and Get Out, which were two fantastic directorial debuts. It's not quite on that level of a directorial debut, but it is still a solid directorial debut. He does some interesting things with his direction in here, particularly in the final fight sequence. He does some really interesting, weird things with the final fight sequence that were very creative and very bold and out there, and I appreciated it. But to me, this film is a mix for me. I like it. I may like it slightly better than Creed 2, but I don't like it anywhere near as good as the first Creed, which isn't a surprise. I think the first Creed is by far the best of the three Creeds that have come out. I think it's the best by far. They've gotten the vibe of it, but they never really quite captured it ever again, that first one. To be fair, that's how I feel about the John Wick movies, you know? Like, no matter how good the John Wick movies are, I still think that first one was the best. It's just because not only the shock of how great it ended up becoming from your expectations of how good it could be, but also it kind of pioneered and did this shit first already, and everything afterwards is just a what's the word looking for? An extension, a DLC of things an extension of something that was brand new once. So, this movie, okay, I'm gonna talk about the good things about this movie off top. The acting is phenomenal. The acting is phenomenal from everyone. Even the child actors in this are great. The side characters are great. It has one of the greatest emotional cores in a sports movie. It reminds me a lot of, I don't know if you guys ever heard of the movie Best of the Best. That's a movie I should probably review, Best of the Best. And it reminds me a little bit of that in terms of its sports core. It is an emotional movie, and these actors do such a great job of carrying what I think is an actual lackluster script. I actually don't think that it's that complicated of a script. Like, it wasn't that most, like I said, it's pretty straightforward. It's a pretty straightforward movie. Not to say that the other Creed movies weren't straightforward. This one is very straightforward. And the problem I have with this movie is I think that this is a mediocre movie elevated by fantastic performances. But once you look past the performances and you actually look at the film itself, I feel like it was rushed. Everything happens so fast. And I know in the other Creed movies things felt like they happened fast too. But I was sitting here watching this movie with my friend Seth, and I was like, dude, by the time the final fight happened, I was halfway expecting him to lose. I thought there was another 30 minutes left in this movie. I thought there was another 20 to 30 minutes left in this movie. And I know I'm not losing it, but if you go back and watch some of the trailers, you'll notice sequences that aren't in the movie. Now, that's nothing new, but there was an entire arc of this movie where Adonis was supposed to go to fucking jail. There's an entire arc of this movie where he's in prison that's taken out of the film. So, like, clearly there is an entire chunk. It felt like a movie that was chopped in the editing bay, to me, personally, because everything to me just happened so fast from the moment his friend shows up, to the moment they get to the final fight, to the moment his friend gets the title match. Like, everything just happens so quickly. There's not a lot of room for things to breathe. It's a miracle they managed to tell such an emotional story while rushing through this story. This is a movie that needed another 20 to 25 minutes to me to just settle in on the things that were happening. Like, to build up to the fight. It just felt like things just happened. I didn't even have time to really, you don't really even, like, because in the beginning of this movie, just a setup, this movie, Creed, Adonis is retiring. He's been champion for a while. He's retiring. He's giving it up. He's going to be a family man. And an old friend, an acquaintance of his shows up. An old friend of his, childhood friend of his shows up, who he's trying to help out. But as it turns out, they have a past that, there's something happened in their past that's so hard and just so hard to get past for him, for his friend, that it ends up imploding until eventually they gotta fight. And that's essentially the base level of the entire movie, is these two people in the past. Now, there are some great symbolisms, some great shots in this movie, symbolism wise, and there are some great messages, obviously, about giving, like, of not being held down by the past, of moving forward, of forgiveness, and there's so many other of those messages. But to me, everything about this movie just moved too fast, dude. Like, I'm shitting you not. By the time it got to his montage to train to fight his friend, I was like, dude, this just feels like it just happened, man. It felt like it was like that. You know what I mean? Like I said, to me personally, everything felt like it happened too fast, and it felt like there were scenes missing from the I don't want to spoil anything. The movie just came out, but certain things happen in the film that, once again, it just feels like it's just moving in fast. It feels like this movie is in fast forward to me. And like I said, it just feels like there are bits cut out of this movie that should have been in the movie. Unlike like an Ant-Man, where it feels like they didn't have time to put shit in, this movie felt like it had more shit in it and they wanted to chop it down to get it to 2 hours. I felt it. I felt them chopping this movie down to get it to 2 hours. And, you know, it ended up kind of bothering me. It ended up bothering me, like watching the film, where I'm like, there's this beautiful story to be told, but we're just like, boom, 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 boom. It's like, dude, can we breathe a bit? Can we breathe? The movie has no breathing room. And it ended up making me feel a bit hollow near the end. While I did get emotional because these actors are doing a great job, I had to take a step back and go, if these actors weren't doing such an amazing work, like, man, this movie would be mediocre. And when I took that step back, I was like, I can appreciate the amazing performances from Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors and everybody. I can appreciate the emotion to this story, this emotions here that elevates this. But when I take a step back and look at the movie itself, I was like, I just feel like everything happened too fast. It wasn't very complicated of a movie. You knew everything that was going to happen before it even happened, right down to the way it ended. While I admire Michael B. Jordan for attempting something new, the things he did in that final fight sequences were just so weird and out of the blue. Like, I was literally in the audience and everyone was kind of laughing like, what the fuck was this happening? It kind of cut the tension of the moment when they started doing all that stuff. And in the end, actually, I would give Creed 3 a 7 out of 10. I still enjoyed myself. I still had a good time with the movie. But the score dropped the point the more I thought about it. Anyways, thank you guys for joining the Comic Game Movie Show. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one. Goodbye.